reason for today's education program is we want you and your money to be safe during these uncertain times. The Senior Source has served Greater Dallas as the go-to nonprofit for aging services that assist, protect, and connect older adults to resources, opportunities, and for independence since 1961. We have 7 programs, and we serve adults age 50 and older. Now, the program that I'm a part of and that we're a part of is called the Elder Financial Safety Center, and that focuses on financial security and the day-to-day needs of older adults, such as food, housing, healthcare, transportation, and just general overall health and wellness. But we also focus on financial literacy and education, and thus that's the reason why we host and conduct this class. I'd like to go over the class binder with everyone. All right, so this is yours to keep. This is for you to collect the information from each class. All right, if you will, turn to the tab that says 1, which is for week 1. And the first page that you see when you turn week 1 is at the top, it says Get Money Smart, presented by Elder Financial Safety Center, and it says course objectives. All right, so I'm just going to go over the course objectives. To recognize and reduce the risk of elder financial exploitation, guard against identity theft, plan for possible loss of your ability to manage your finances, prepare financially for disasters, and then finally find other helpful resources for managing your money and reporting financial exploitation. So let's look at today's agenda. We're going to provide you an overview of our program, the Elder Financial Safety Center. We're going to talk about why we conduct Money Smart for older adults. We're going to have a group activity, and then we're going to get into the topic of fraud, scams, and exploitation, and try to provide you some tools and resources for how to protect yourself. Because we're finding that today, especially older adults, are really the main targets for fraud, scams, and exploitation. We're also going to touch upon technology. We've really put an emphasis on technology for older adults here at the Senior Source. And then we'll also talk about employment frauds and scams. If there's anyone that is looking for an employment opportunity or still in the workforce, this will be important information. And then we'll try to leave some time at the end of today's class for question and answers. All right, so let me read you this statement on who we are. The Elder Financial Safety Center at the Senior Source is a safe and trusted place for older adults and their loved ones to get expert, professional, and unbiased guidance to ensure financial well-being. And these are cases that involve people just trying to get connected to essential needs, such as food, housing, rent, utilities, to helping people who've experienced a situation where they've been exploited financially. And our vision is to ensure every older adult lives in a safe community with the financial resources to securely age with dignity. On this slide, what you see is, this is a high-level overview of our program, the Elder Financial Safety Center. We are actually a collaboration. It's the Senior Source and the Dallas County District Attorney's Office and the Dallas County Probate Courts. Each of us have a specific role in this collaboration or this partnership. The Senior Source is about prevention, services, helping prevent older adults. The Dallas County District Attorney's Office is about prosecution, so we can actually refer cases to the DA's office if we feel like someone is been victimized. And the Dallas County Probate Courts, they operate the guardianship program in Dallas County. So anyone that is no longer to make decisions on their own, they may be assigned a guardian, and probate courts are in charge of making sure that guardians are operating appropriately. And so again, each of us have a role in this program. And this program, when it started in 2014, was a unique one of its kind. You did not see this type of collaboration between a private nonprofit and government entities working together, such as this. Let me read you this quote from Ramsey Clark. "People who do not cherish their elderly have forgotten whence they came and whither they go." And this is a quote that really speaks to our team, our program. It's something that we all believe in and we feel very passionate about. So let's meet the Elder Financial Safety Center. So these are the individuals of the Elder Financial Safety Center. You can see some of us are here today. You will probably meet all or most of the members of our team throughout this course. Right here, you'll see profiles of each of us, each of our staff members. It has names, has their picture, has their title, their name, and all of the information as far as what their specialty is here at our program. And it also has contact information. So you now have contact information for each one of us here at the Elder Financial Safety Center. All right, so you have that now, so use it as you will. All right, so who do we serve? We serve adults age 50 and older. We try to make sure there's some type of financial need. Our main service areas are Dallas and Collin counties. And we have no income restriction. There are some more specific case management service areas where if someone makes over a certain amount, they may not be eligible to, say, be assigned a volunteer, because we do have a service area where we actually assign volunteers who can go out and work one-on-one with clients out in the community. But that's the only area where there might be a income restriction for our services. Let me touch upon our areas of service. So if you look at this slide, to the left, financial and resource help. We are a benefits enrollment center, meaning that we can help people apply for state benefits, such as SNAP, which is food stamps, Medicare Savings, which helps pay some of the costs of Medicare, such as the Part B monthly premium, and then also Extra Help, which is a Medicare prescription drug program or helps with the costs of Medicare prescriptions. We can help people apply for those benefits. Utility bill assistance, so we have partnerships with utility providers such as TXU Energy, Ambit Energy, and Atmos Energy. So we can assist the people with if they're needing help with their utility bills. And then where it says crisis and disaster relief. So for instance, when we had the historic ice storm, I believe in 2021, a lot of people had to, there was plumbing problems, people's water bills went way up, loss of electricity. So we were able to leverage what we have or what we do to gain funding to then help people who were in need in those situations. People's homes or apartments were flooding. They had to find temporary housing. So it was all different types of situations where we were able to assist in that situation. If you look at the next segment over, technology training. So we can help, we've always helped job seekers with technology as far as with helping them get a resume set up. These days, LinkedIn is a great social media tool for professionals trying to get connected in the job world. Also, in the last couple of years, we partnered with AARP for a program called Senior Planet, which has specific curriculum designed for older adults, and Ignacio is going to touch upon that later on today. And then we have a computer essentials class as well, which means we help people with just the basics. If that means they're not even sure how to turn on a computer, we can help with that. We help with things like Word, email, Excel, PowerPoint, just your again, computer essentials. This just speaks to the emphasis that we're putting on technology here at the Elder Financial Safety Center. And then finally, we have financial coaching and counseling. We can do one-on-one sessions with people. This is a group session, but you're certainly now, all of you are open or you have access to one-on-one counseling if needed. Exploitation relief, we're gonna touch upon as we go through this course. Situations involving exploitation and how we can help you try to avoid those situations. Financial literacy, that's what this is. This is our financial education and literacy program known as Money Smart. And then money management is a more of a case management type of service area. All right, so now we're gonna have a little group activity, group exercise. So this exercise is called Stability Wheel. And so if you look at this handout, you see the wheel, shape of like a bicycle wheel, and it's got different sections of it that are identified, and we'll just go around clockwise, looking at each of the segments or sections of the wheel. We have money, we have health, we have family, we have spiritual and personal development, we have education and training, we have home or where you currently live, social and fun, and then the last one is employment. Okay, so let's go down to the bottom of this page and read the gray section. And it reads, the 8 sections in the wheel represent balance. Using the center of the wheel as 0 and the outer edge as 10, rank your level of satisfaction with each life area by ranking from 0 to 10 by coloring in a line of each section. The new perimeter of the circle represents your level of balance. Okay, so let me give you an example. So this is a self-analysis. So let's say I'm going to look at health. And if I feel like my health is at an 8, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to count the lines from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to color in that section out to that line. Like that. Okay? Okay. So, if you will, go through this exercise, go through each section, and give yourself a score of 0 to 10 where you feel your satisfaction is in that area. Now, if it's an area that doesn't, let's say if employment's not important to you, don't even, maybe it's a 10. Maybe you know it's not even worth worrying about. You're satisfied. You don't have to work. You're fine. Just give yourself a 10 if that's the case. Now, if you finish that, if you finish filling in your stability wheel, if you'll turn over on the back, it asks you some questions such as what areas are making your ride bumpy? So which areas maybe did you not have a high score on, or a score that you feel good about? How can you turn that around? And what results are you looking for? And then finally, at the bottom of this back page, the question is, what is most important to you? So of each of the sections of the wheel, ranking from 1 to 8, with 1 being the highest ranking, which of these sections are most important for you, ranking from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8? So for me, if health is most important, I'm going to put 1 for health. And then if family and friends are then the second most important, I'm going to put 2. If money is then most important, I'll put 3. Social and fun 4, and then just filling out the rest. The purpose of this exercise is to show that there's other things in life, and it's all about balance.
These are the facts of elder abuse. And I want you to take a moment and think about why older adults might be a target of elder abuse. We're about to get into some of the reasons, but I want you to take a moment and think through yourself why older adults are targets. A major reason is isolation. It is the #1 epidemic in our country, affecting people 50 and older. 8 million people 50 and older. An AARP study found that the health risk of isolation is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, one thing that is important to note is isolation doesn't necessarily mean loneliness. They are different. Isolation means that perhaps someone doesn't have a large social network, possibly access to transportation, or maybe they don't have access to information and resources such as what you are here doing today. 60% of people, it is a family affair. We see this regularly, so don't be afraid to say it because it's true, unfortunately. Okay, and some of the other reasons why seniors are targets are listed right here on the screen, and we did touch on some of them. I think a big one to note is a lot of the time seniors are known to have accumulated assets, and that makes them targets to scammers. They want to come after that money. Sometimes they're trusting, polite of others, from a generation that is friendly and enjoys meeting people and hearing about their lives and making friends. Another one to touch on is the predictable patterns of behavior. I see this with a lot of my clients. They might go to church every week. They might have a certain time to go to the store, maybe social functions, gatherings. Maybe they go to the senior center at a certain time and then come home at a certain time every day. And then a big one that we also see is possibly cognitive decline or maybe some sort of physical limitation in their ability to handle their affairs. Here are a few resources where people can turn for help. 211 is a community resource avenue. For people who call that number, they are directed to resources for whatever need they may have. Adult Protective Services is a major partner of ours. Sometimes people don't even know that is a resource. I think many people are familiar with Child Protective Services, but they aren't necessarily aware that there's the adult equivalent to that for people 65 and older or who have a disability. And I do want to point out elder abuse. I think some of the obvious types of abuse are physical, verbal, emotional, sexual, but I want to point out that self-neglect is also a form of abuse, and that is what I commonly see in my day-to-day and my work with clients and with older adults. I think that is important to look out for as well, is someone's ability to be able to care for themselves and meet their needs, make sure there aren't major cleanliness concerns, pest concerns, maybe medication misuse, that sort of thing. And then, of course, the Senior Source. We're a local resource to you and available to you to provide information and also help connect to resources. And as Carl alluded to, we are touching on our money management service area today as a way to try and protect our clients. And this is what I am engaged in here within our program. And as listed here, it is providing extra support and oversight in someone's day-to-day financial management. A lot of the times our clients, they come to us because they don't have family who can assist them in making sure their bills are paid on time or making sure they have a monthly budget that's manageable, or maybe even close friends that can help. A lot of our clients don't have that social network of support, and so we're it. We come alongside them. We have volunteers who we can have meet with them in their homes, and they provide extra oversight. They partner with them on making sure their bills are paid on time, that nothing's falling through the cracks. They can help them go through their mail, make sure they set aside anything that's suspicious, but make sure that anything is important is addressed. And ultimately, they provide extra security as well. They're monitoring their banking accounts, making sure that everything's happening as it should be and that there aren't any red flags. And then a second level to this is our representative payee services. So this is different than our volunteer services where we match volunteers with clients in their homes. We do have what's called a rep payee component. And that is where we are appointed by Social Security to actually receive someone's benefit on their behalf, and it goes into a checking account that we set up for them. And so the client doesn't have direct access to that money anymore, and we actually pay all their bills directly for them. Which it sounds restrictive, but in some cases it's necessary is when there is usually a cognitive or physical disability that it makes it difficult for them to do that on their own, and there's a position statement that accompanies all of our applications to Social Security. And it's still what's called an alternative to guardianship. So it's still that idea of promoting independence in our clients. They still are able to address all their medical needs, living arrangement needs, that sort of thing. This is only us handling their basic financial affairs.
COVID-19 was really a time when we saw fraud, scams, exploitation just increase exponentially. We saw an increase in robocalls. You saw scams involving testing and treatment, the supply and provider scams. You had charities, people trying to raise money during this crisis, and they did it for their own purposes, for their own benefit. Phishing scams. So phishing scams are when you're representing yourself through email or on the internet, trying to take advantage of someone. We've seen that increase. And then also romance scams, which we're going to touch upon here in a minute. Because people weren't able to be together in person, a lot of people then were connecting over social media, the internet, and it led to a huge increase in romance scams. A few specific areas of frauds and scam I want to touch upon. Work from home. Obviously with COVID, people were wanting to they weren't able to leave their homes, but they still needed to earn money. And so what's the best way to try to do that? Well, we saw an increase in those opportunities again, and some of those opportunities weren't what they appeared to be. There's a situation. It's called ghost broker. It's an insurance agent. It's when an insurance agent or broker represents themselves, usually through email or social media or the internet, and they're able to sell and market like auto insurance or maybe homeowners insurance. So they're doing business that way. It's not done over the phone or in person, and the person ends up purchasing what they think is a legitimate policy. Well, and then when they go to file a claim, they find out they never owned a policy. Well, it's because the person that they were dealing with scammed them and then took their money. Okay, so it's called ghost brokering. It's very common over in Europe and the United Kingdom. It's just starting to show up a little bit here in the United States. Robocalls, Amazon and just keep in mind, Amazon and the IRS are most likely not going to call you. Okay, so if you get a robocall that says that there's a warrant for your arrest by the IRS, it's false. The Federal Trade Commission is a great resource to report any type of situation involving frauds and scams. We often use them. We provide periodicals that they provide. Again, that's one of the better resources to go to. All right, so now we're going to take a few minutes. We're going to touch upon romance scams. Natalie's going to come up and present this information. I mentioned just a minute ago that romance scams were on the increase, especially since COVID.
These are just some statistics. Like in 2021, there was $547 million lost just to romance scams. And then, of course, COVID-19 made that worse, like Carl said, because people were more lonely and using social media more, and then dating apps. And another thing is, since COVID, the use of gift cards has gone up by 70%. And that partially could probably be attributed to this, because a lot of times And not just romance scams, but a lot of scammers will ask for payment in forms of gift cards, like Apple gift cards, Amazon gift cards, things like that. And then, so first thing on here, it says just don't send money or gifts to somebody, even if they send you money first. And a lot of times they're not going to reach out to you first thing and say, oh, give me some money. What's going to happen is probably could be on Facebook or other social media, and somebody you don't know is going to probably message you, or they'll comment on a Facebook post and offer to talk to you more and start asking you questions. And if you engage with them, they'll try to build a relationship with you over time. And then after months and months or years, they will ask you for money eventually, even though you've never met this person in person before. They all play the long game, and they usually have several victims that they're working on at the same time. So that's how they get money out of it, is each person, they just talk to them for a very long time until they feel comfortable with them. And if you do start interacting with somebody like that, or you know somebody that is, get them to talk to somebody that they can trust. Ask questions of the person. So for example, if it's on social media and they have like a profile picture, you could actually do a reverse image search on Google. If you go onto just google.com, there's like the little, I don't even know what it's called, the spyglass icon, and next to that there's a tiny camera. If you click on the little camera, you can put that person's photo in there, and it'll show all the other websites that photo has been used on, and that's kind of a good way to catch people. And then there's more. If you go to ftc.gov/romance scams, they talk about that a little more there too.
All right, so now I just want to quickly go through this slide that touches upon the red flags of how to spot a scam. Now, some of this may seem like common sense, but some may not. So, number one, if somebody is promising you something, that could be a scam. Doesn't mean necessarily that it is. It just means just beware. Okay, these are red flags. These are things to look out for. If someone is pressuring you to make a very important decision, okay, why are they doing that? What's the purpose of that? That's definitely a red flag. If someone is sharing a secret with you and says, do not tell anyone, just keep it between us, okay? Make sure you know who that person is. That's important. If you've won and you haven't even played, that is a red flag by. So, are you all familiar with the term affinity marketing? Affinity marketing is when you use or you leverage like a personal connection. Like, Lori, you and I both go to the same church. We attend the same church. So did you know I'm an insurance broker? So we go to the same church, so you can trust me, right? Because we have the same beliefs, we have the same values. Again, doesn't necessarily mean it is, but it's a way for people to possibly take advantage, is to use that connection. So it's known as affinity marketing. Another example is, do you see service trucks, service vans out on the road will have the fish symbol, like a plumber will have that's affinity. That's a use of affinity marketing right there. And then, by all means, if someone says, I'm the expert, I'm the person that you can trust, that you can believe, just be careful about that. All right, the next few slides are covering identity theft, but instead of going through each of the slides, let me just direct you to your binder. And there's a couple of inserts in your binder toward the back of week 1. Behind the to-do checklist, you'll see a handout that says, it's in orange, and it says avoiding identity theft. So it's tips and information on how to protect yourself, protect your identity. And then the next handout after that is recovering from identity theft. So if you've unfortunately become a victim, ways to try to recover and to repair your identity, maybe repair your credit or whatever is involved with that. Okay, So those are two handouts that I recommend that you go over. And then the last handout in your binder it's an article that came from AARP magazine. It's titled Fraud in the Family. And Shannon touched upon exploitation involving family members. This article here is very eye-opening in terms of family members taking advantage of parents and grandparents or aunts and uncles and the things that can take place. So I recommend that you take time again to go through and read that article. All right, I'm going to touch upon this slide here, which talks about how COVID-19 impacted our workforce, especially adults age 55 and older, in terms of just layoffs and safety of the workplace. So you see the slide, it shows the decrease in workers 55 and older, dropped significantly there in April of 2020, right as the pandemic hit. And has slowly been rising since then, but still it's not quite where it used to be. And what we really saw with COVID was, you may have heard this term, which has become more common, the digital divide. It really kind of showed or revealed people's level of comfort with technology, being able to use a computer, use a laptop, use their smartphones to be effective in communication or just being able to work each day. And so with that, in 2022, the Senior Source really started our technology initiative, and we hired a dedicated technology trainer, Ignacio. And then just in this past 2 months, we've added another position. It's a bilingual technology trainer. So we now have 2 technology trainers on staff, and then I'm going to ask Ignacio to come up, and he will go ahead and present the next few slides for you.
Good morning, everybody. As Carl mentioned, my name is Ignacio Aranda. I am one of the technology trainers here at the Senior Source, working under the Elder Financial Safety Center. Today, I am going to speak on today's technology, the role of mainstream technology as a means of preventing frauds and scams occurring to older adults, to really emphasize how technology can play a role in preventing frauds and scams. The Senior Source, as well as other organizations and other initiatives in kind of larger society, we've really put efforts towards training, providing technology training, providing technology resources, in an effort to make individuals more confident and more comfortable and more literate with using technology. The better versed you are with using a computer, using your smartphones, and kind of this digital culture that we live in today, the better versed you are at it, the more likely you are to prevent being a victim to frauds or scams. On a large scale, Carl touched on this briefly. There is this kind of social phenomenon that we refer to as the digital divide. The digital divide is the unequal access to both technology devices as well as technology education. So this could be whether you have the ability to afford a device or afford home internet. It could be that you have a home internet company that isn't providing service in your particular area. We do run into that situation and the inequality that comes from that setup. We are seeing less and less of it in DFW, but nevertheless, it does exist. So when we talk about tackling the digital divide as the main means of providing technology education, we're referring to access to actual devices, and we are also referring to access to education. Access to resources to help you learn and get comfortable with kind of today's mainstream technology and the role that plays on your day-to-day financial portfolio. This could be the use of online banking. This could be the use of social media and job hunting websites, you know, if you're pursuing supplemental income or pursuing employment and things of that nature. So the Senior Source has made great strides to try to reinforce, you know, trying to bridge the gap of the digital divide that we see older adults experience. The digital divide does apply to a wide variety of demographics, but we do see older adults experience this in larger numbers than others. So the Senior Sources efforts, we have established a partnership with Senior Planet from AARP. Senior Planet from AARP provides a curriculum of over 100 different courses, programs, workshops, lectures, 5-week courses to help older adults become more confident, more comfortable, and more literate with technology. This is not to imply that you're not literate already. But, you know, people are at a wide array of stages with regards to their comfortability with technology. So these are resources that are intended to cater at all levels, just to ensure that there is less of a disparity. So through our partnership, we have multiple individuals that have gone through the Senior Planet training process in an effort to meet the standards to facilitate their content. The Senior Planet curriculum is designed for individuals 65 years of age and older. All that means is that they created their curriculum with a focus group of individuals 65 years of age and older. So the curriculum's designed to be optimized for older adult learning. So again, getting comfortable and getting confident with technology is going to help better equip you to fight frauds and scams and to prevent you becoming the victim of any kind of fraud or any kind of scam, especially when it comes to online frauds or scams. So to build your comfortability and build your confidence, it's important for you to get a good understanding of the basics, of the fundamentals of the tools that are available with regarding technology tools and your financial profile. This can involve online banking. Again, this can involve applying for jobs online. This can involve using social media and using a LinkedIn profile. It's important to get comfortable with how these services work. You're able to maximize the use of these tools in your day-to-day life and utilizing technology to enrich your day-to-day life. But the more important variable here is that it allows you to manage your virtual identity, your digital identity, so that you're able to distinguish between what is legitimate and what isn't. It's a lot harder for a friend of yours to, you know, let's say, for example, you have a friend that has received a request from a profile. They've received a message saying, hey, I need to borrow $100. If somebody is sending this request to, say, you know, me, Ignacio Aranda, if my network of people, if my peers know that I, Ignacio Aranda, have a Facebook profile that I'm able to stay on top of, I keep up with it regularly, I maintain update the profile picture, so on and so forth. If somebody receives a message from somebody posing to be me, then that individual knows to be suspicious of a secondary, an attempt from a different profile. Does that make sense? Where you establish your profile, you establish your identity online, so that if somebody else is trying to impersonate you maliciously to gain your information, people will know where your legitimate profile is, what your legitimate information is, so they know to be skeptical of information that comes from a secondary source. The reality of the situation is that there's tons of identity theft. There are tons of frauds and scams. There are tons of individuals that are attempting to steal your personal information, your banking information, your social security number, They want to open new lines of credit. They want to perform all these different processes, oftentimes on the internet. So it is important that you are legitimately represented online so that it's easy to distinguish the real from the fake. The same will apply with regards to just becoming familiar with modern day technology, becoming familiar with QR codes, peer-to-peer payment systems like PayPal and Venmo and Zelle with your banking application, creating bank transaction alerts. It's important that you use these things. Yes, they're tools and they're helpful, but the more and more that you use them, the more and more that you will be able to distinguish between what is a legitimate email or legitimate notification from your bank versus what is an illegitimate one. Does that make sense? Perfect. And so, again, we provide the programs, the lectures, the workshops through our curriculum with Senior Planet to help you be informed as to how this stuff is supposed to look. How is your banking app supposed to look? How is a Venmo QR code supposed to look? That way you can distinguish between what's a legitimate attempt at you making a payment to a friend at a bake sale using Venmo versus you paying some random person's QR code and making a payment to a source that you didn't intend to make a payment to. Okay, so once you establish confidence and comfortability with using technology and you have an idea as to what looks legitimate and what looks suspicious, you're able to move forward with kind of setting the ground rules for what you can and what you shouldn't share or exchange online. So, reviewing of what to never share over email. The key here is not to ever share this information. The key is to not share this particular information via email. Email is not the most secure means of communicating information electronically. So email is actually very easy to access. Typically, the only thing between you and an email account is a password, as opposed to, say, two-factor authentication or something of that effect. Anything that is exchanged via email, let's say, for example, I were a malicious party that gained access to your email account. If you've ever emailed your driver's license, your bank account information, your credit or debit card information, your social security number, by simply gaining access to your email account, I now have access to all of this information. So there's risk number one. Somebody hacks into your email account, or if somebody gains access to your email account, they have access to any information that's been sent or received via email. In addition to that, if you've ever been on a public Wi-Fi network and you've ever exchanged information using that network, it's not unheard of for another individual on that same public Wi-Fi network to be able to intercept the information that was transferred from one end to the other. Review of what to never share over email. Again, pretty much anything that isn't available on a piece of mail. That's kind of one way I've heard it filtered out. Driver's license, social security, banking information, things of that nature. As you become more confident and comfortable using technology, you'll become more aware of the red flags to look for in phishing emails. Carl touched on these a little bit earlier. Look out for a sense of urgency, if there's any kind of pressure to act quickly, things of that nature. Just kind of reinforcing those red flags. Obviously, one of the more reoccurring things that older adults are going to run into is, say, you're applying for Social Security benefits or you're filling out paperwork on the IRS. You've just heard me tell you, don't exchange this sensitive private information over email. However, if you're using like a government website, there's a certain standard that websites can abide by. There are certain cybersecurity tools that they can use. virtually every government website, I don't know this for a fact to be absolute, but all the main ones, IRS, SSA, Medline Plus, these all use these cybersecurity measures to where, for the most part, I would do it myself. I would argue it can be safe to enter some of that sensitive information, so long as you can guarantee that you are connected to that website specifically. So I'm not here to scare you out of ever entering that information. Believe me, submitting all of the Social Security information on the website from the comfort of your own home is going to be a lot more convenient than waiting in that line. So once you get comfortable, you'll be able to distinguish between what is a safe avenue to complete this task and what is not a safe avenue to complete a specific task. One thing that I want to mention with regards to Social Security numbers online specifically, and you may even see this on paper applications for lines of credit and things that you do, it's very common for you to see an entity, a website, ask for the last 4 digits of your Social Security number exclusively. And you may think to yourself, it's the last 4, it's not the entire number. It can't be, it's probably less invasive. I do want to share that if you weren't aware previously, the last 4 digits of your Social Security number are really the only unique numbers of your Social Security number. They are the most important numbers of your Social Security number. The other numbers can be deciphered on other bits of information, where you were born, where you live, things of that nature, year you were born. I don't know the exact credentials. What I do know is that the first 5 numbers of your Social Security number can be deciphered. If a malicious person comes and takes a handful of pieces of mail and gathers that information based off of what they've gathered in the trash bin, plus the last 4 of the social, the last 4 of the social could be the missing pieces to the puzzle. So tread cautiously whenever you're in an environment where they're asking you to share just the last 4. The last 4 is debatably the most significant. The last piece I want to touch on is just reinforcing the idea of digital culture. More and more of our infrastructure, more and more of our businesses are relying on technology as the main means or as the main point of contact. Organizations are adapting more and more into almost technology exclusive or online exclusive services. So that'll help to kind of reinforce the need to become comfortable with technology, to become comfortable with kind of the newer vocabulary, emerging ideas of QR codes and peer-to-peer payment systems and 2-factor authentication. It helps to make your accounts more secure from a cybersecurity perspective. And if you establish your presence, your identity online, you are in control of how you are reflected online, and it's easier to distinguish between your legitimate profiles on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Chase, on Bank of America, what have you. By knowing your digital identity, you know what's real, so it's easier to spot what's fake.
And then finally, I wanted to touch upon volunteering opportunities here at the Senior Source. We cannot do all the work that we do for older adults and family caregivers without our volunteers. There's research out there on how good volunteering is for a person, from improved health, greater life satisfaction, maybe balance like we talked about. It can help balance your life. And we certainly see every day the life-changing difference volunteers make for those we serve. There are so many ways to volunteer, and we need all ages, not just older adults, but all ages can volunteer for our organization. There are one-time only opportunities as well as ongoing experiences, and every volunteer that we have makes a difference. And so, in terms of opportunities, whether it's working with nursing home residents, many of whom never receive visitors. I think the statistic is 10% of all residents of nursing homes get a visitor on a regular basis. Think about that, just 1 in 10. Isolated seniors in their homes, helping with budgeting, budget support. We talked about how budgeting is going to be an emphasis of this class. Older adults supporting children or sharing their wisdom and experience with other nonprofits that are in need. There's something here for everyone. So we invite you to visit our website, www.theseniorsource.org, if you are interested in finding out more about volunteering opportunities.